All right. It seems we're finished setting up our temporary home. Yes, I remember that it's called a tent. Humans have been crafting similar structures for thousands of years. Although, I don't think I've ever seen a human set one up just for the fun of it. In ancient times, I believe it was more a survival tactic. Nowadays, humans really have no need to pitch a tent in the forest. That includes you. You do realize we already have a perfectly cozy apartment? Oh, it's hard for me to understand why you want to come out here in the middle of nowhere and sleep on the ground, especially when we have such a nice bed at home. But I will admit, I'm looking forward to time away from the city. This location is quite peaceful. Perhaps while we're here, we can forget about all of that complicated technology and live more simply. Ah, so that's the point of camping? I suppose I can see the appeal. In that case, then I shall consider this a little getaway and focus on enjoying time with you. The sun will be setting soon. Is there anything else we must do before nightfall arrives? Perhaps we should start preparing our dinner. I know you mentioned feeling quite famished while we were setting up the tent. The pit is here for the fire, isn't it? All right. I'll get the fire going, and in the meantime, you can get out the bag of food you brought from home. That meal was delicious. Your cooking skills are impressive, even when you don't have your regular kitchen or utensils. I find that food tastes even better when cooked slowly over a fire, rather than an oven. But perhaps I only feel that way because of the excitement of being in a new atmosphere together. What's that? You brought something else? Ah, yes. I almost forgot you mentioned a new food you wanted me to try. I've forgotten the name of it. That was it. S'mores. I must admit, I find the idea a bit strange. The 3 ingredients you brought don't appear to go together at all. Did you come up with this recipe yourself? I see. So it's sort of a tradition to eat s'mores on camping trips since they're prepared with a fire? Well then, shall we prepare them now? You go ahead. I think I'll observe the way you make yours first. What's so funny? Of course I'm taking this seriously. I take everything you're passionate about seriously, and clearly making s'mores is one of them. Now, why don't you show me how it's done? Ah, so the sticks you brought are for cooking the marshmallows over the fire. I suppose we can cook ours at the same time, since this fire is quite large. Look at that. Yours is starting to expand. They're quite peculiar things, these marshmallows. I'm still not entirely sure what they are, but you did say they were delicious, and I trust your judgment. Finished cooking already? And what do we do with them now? How interesting. So a s'more is a small sandwich with the chocolate and marshmallow in between the crackers. I'll create one of my own then. I'm quite excited to try this. You were right. This is delicious. Indeed. The melted marshmallow goes nicely with the crunch of the cracker. And of course, you can't go wrong with the chocolate. That's something I learned from you. Thank you for introducing me to such interesting things. Look, the sun has almost disappeared behind the treetops. Are you feeling cold at all? I can fetch one of the blankets from inside the tent. You may be close to the fire, but the night air is quite chilly. And there you are, all nice and snug. We can share the blanket, if you'd like to sit closer to me. Closing my eyes, just listening to the sounds of nature, I can almost imagine I've been transported back to the time before I was petrified. Out here, there's no new technology, no intense unnatural light. It reminds me when I used to stroll through the forest alone without a care in the world. The best part is, there's no one else around. For once, we don't have to worry about a human seeing me and trying to drag me back to that dreadful museum. It feels like we're the only two in the world. Maybe we should go camping more often. Yes, you're right. The sky is very beautiful out here, isn't it? It's almost as breathtaking as I remember it being long ago. Of course, back then there weren't such grand cities illuminating the world with their unnatural light. One could easily see each and every star twinkling above them. But being out here, away from the city, just look at all the stars we can see. Did you hear that? I believe it was an owl. It sounded close by. There's no need to be afraid. It's not going to hurt you. If we listen, we might be able to hear some other forest creatures as well. Don't look so uneasy. As I told you, none of them will hurt us. Well, yes, I suppose something like a grizzly bear might try to do us harm. But I don't believe any of those exist in this area. Besides, you know you're safe with me. There's no creature I couldn't protect you from. You look like you're getting tired, my dear. If you'd like, I can put out the fire, and we can go inside the tent. Oh, before we go to bed, I wanted to give you something. It's nothing much, so don't get too excited. Earlier, when we were looking for the perfect spot to pitch our tent, I wandered off and found a patch of them growing nearby. Yes, the daisies. I would have preferred to find you some roses, since those traditionally symbolize romantic love the best. But I figured these would do for now. Besides, any flowers can have romantic intent when given to someone special. I'm glad you like them. Please, there's no need to thank me. I saw them and immediately thought of how much they would suit you. Perhaps we can take them home and put them in a vase tomorrow. And once they begin to wilt, I'll bring you some roses. Now then, should we prepare to get some rest? I'm not sure the bedding you brought will be as comfortable as our regular bed, but I doubt I'll have trouble resting with you at my side. A story? Of course I can tell you one, if that's what you want. Is this another one of your camping traditions? I see. Well, I'm sure I can come up with something entertaining enough. And even if my stories bore you, then at least you'd be able to drift off to sleep. All right, let's get settled fast. Let's see. I could tell you something from my ancient past. Or maybe something that's happened recently. You'd like to know more about the flowers from my time? Well, I was never an expert, but I can tell you a bit. Back before I was petrified, things were much different. But surprisingly, many traditions stayed the same, such as humans' fondness for certain plants. Roses seem to carry the same meaning as they always have, specifically red ones, symbolizing love and beauty. Humans would often give them to their lovers back then, just as they do now. I also remember observing some special occasions and ceremonies back then, where people wore flowers woven into their wreaths. Weaving them together for fashion purposes seems less common now, but I believe flowers are still used in ceremonies today, aren't they? I thought so. At the museum, I was able to infer as much from overheard conversations. I remember one woman discussing her wedding and the type of flowers she wanted on display, and another describing a bouquet she had received as a form of congratulations. It's interesting that after all these years, humans hold on to traditions from thousands of years ago. It makes me happy to see that the good sides of the human heart remain the same. Those are the parts that have always fascinated me. You carry all of those good qualities within you, my dear. You're certainly proof that kind souls do exist. Although, I don't think I've ever come across a soul as pure as yours. My only hope is that I can return that kindness to you and show you love every day for the rest of your life. Oh, it seems you've fallen asleep. I'm happy I was able to put you at ease. I'll see you in the morning, my love. Rest well. Oh, good. You're still here. You seem to understand how these sorts of things work better than I do. So I was wondering if you would help me. To start, I'd like for you to subscribe to this channel, whatever that means, and this next part is for the adults. I would like to invite you to visit patreon.com/Celesterra, and for those of you who would like something a little more personal, please refer to anagomi.com/commissions. Until we meet again.